saw Kellen Moore run a little bit of scheme with them. They get a little bit more downhill in their run game. They utilize him as a pass catcher. 2,000 yards, 2,000 all-purpose yards if he plays all 17 games for the Philadelphia Eagles.
And you were the one who actually sent me that. I mean, during Hard Knocks, you were like, did you see John Mara basically saying, so that
he forecasted his worst nightmare because he literally looked at Joe Schoen and said, okay, I trust you guys, but I'm going to have a hard time sleeping if we please don't let him go to the Eagles like that. And that's literally what happened. And they made their division rival better. And unfortunately, they made themselves worse. Now, I've seen people tweet, Giants fans tweeting, Saquon would not have looked like that in our offense. I get that, but Saquon carried a lot in your offense. And now he goes to an Eagles team that is deeper, tougher, more physical, and he's allowed to do more things, and he sets everybody else up.
Those Giant fans are not making the point they think they're making. Okay. Let's be very
clear.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Joe Schoen, he should feel ashamed today to let Saquon walk out of the door. Lord have mercy, ashamed.
It is an interesting question. As a defensive player, if you're lining up, so this week it's Atlanta. If you're going up against this team, and you got AJ over there, you got Devontae over there, you got Saquon back there, and oh, by the way, Jalen can run it too. What are you going in thinking, this is the number one thing we take away?
We talked about the 49ers when they added Christian McCaffrey. With all of those weapons around, we saw his impact. With Saquon, it's the same thing. We have to be able to stop the run before we can worry about the receivers on the outside. To your point, Kmart, the Giants were celebrating 100 years on Friday night in the stadium. It was amazing, I'm hearing. Saquon was in Brazil just scoring 3 touchdowns. You got to be sick as you're watching that.
Wow. As a Giants fan, the quarterback looked bad, bad interceptions, the same ones he threw in the offseason, training camp, preseason, in the game. Oh, Lord, the uniforms were ugly.
Yeah, they were
Saquon scored 3 touchdowns. Oh, Joe Schoen, you should be ashamed.
They were dressed as the Montreal Canadiens. In the meantime, all is not totally rosy with the Eagles coming out of that game. There were some things from Jalen Hurts that still concerned you, Dan, and you've got to take.
Yeah, decision making. And I do not believe that Jalen Hurts played well in that football game for the most part. And the concern is he's never really been a poor decision maker, both in the pass and the run. They're going to motion the tight end over. It's a 4-man surface. It's an RPO. You can either hand it off or throw the bubble. It's off that backer. If the backer stays inside, we kick the bubble. If the backer goes out towards the top of the screen, we hand the ball off. I have no idea why Jalen Hurts would throw this bubble. If he hands the ball off, Saquon might hit his head on the goalpost. And he's usually so good at the decision-making in that RPO game, the zone read game, where he could be a ball carrier. We release the tight end. We're going to double team on the front side, double team on the back side. He's just reading that defensive end. Same thing. If the defensive end squeezes, we keep it. If the defensive end stays outside, hand the ball off. Hand the ball off, it might go for 15, 20 yards. Jalen pulls it and is a ball carrier, and it's -1. So 2 decisions in the run game that are abnormal. Then some of the turnovers, right? They try to throw like a little fake bubble screen, throw the ball downfield. J-Mac, you know this. He going pump fake, right? You're trying to trick the defense. The defense wins the rep.
Covered.
Jalen throws the ball to the flat. That's a pick 6 if the defensive back catches it. That's concerning. And now this is their 2x2 RPO. Harry, you know this, where he's going to read that defender, and it's double slants. All right, Jair Alexander at the bottom of the screen completely wins the route. The slant to A.J. Brown is shut off. Now, A.J., I don't like the fact that he stops running. Right. But if Jalen, again, just decides to throw the football, I didn't show the 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
2 interceptions were bad as well.
One in the end zone.
I think if you're the Eagles, there's a lot that you liked, but there's also like, man, our quarterback got to be better at decision-making.
What they like is that they started the season 1-0.
Totally.
That they made mistakes. They still can get better, but we at least started 1-0. And this is a new offense. This is a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and it's September. There are going to be kinks that have to be worked out, but with Jalen Hurts, Greeny, you asked earlier, is Saquon the missing piece? Yes, but everything hinges on Jalen Hurts' performance going forward. I don't think Saquon, if Jalen continues playing like this and it's November, December, that's still an issue. It doesn't matter that Saquon Barkley's on the field.
I would say this about the 2 interceptions, because they both were 3rd and longs.
Yeah.
If I had one critique for Kellen Moore, understand, feel your quarterback out. Don't put him in those situations.
Right, the first one's just everyone run deep.
You're backed up in your own territory.
Meanwhile, we start tonight. Week 2, Buffalo and Miami. Here's the situation. Let's say you're trying to make some last-minute decisions on tonight's game. Think about Josh Allen. He's 11-2 for his career against the Dolphins, which is tied for the most wins by any player against a single team since he came into the league in 2018. And listen to this statistic. He has thrown multiple touchdowns in all 13 of those games. He has never not thrown 2 touchdowns against the Dolphins. That's by far the longest streak of its kind in NFL history. On the other side, Tua has really struggled in this matchup against Buffalo. He's 1-6 as a starter. He's thrown 7 interceptions and 6 touchdowns. So that sounds one-sided. So let's start with that. There are people making last-minute kind of decisions. Think just through the question in my ear, it's a good one. Yeah. Does that Josh Allen streak extend tonight? Does he throw at least 2 touchdown passes tonight against the Dolphin defense?
Yeah, I think so. It's Josh Allen, but I do think the star for Buffalo's offense is going to be James Cook.
Talk to me about that.
Well, I just think because of the style of offense that Buffalo wants to play and put multiple tight ends on the field. Now, I think one of the beauties of this offense is no Steph means Josh just gets to go through progressions. Number 1, number 2, number 3. He's not necessarily focused on, I got to get this person the football in certain situations. I also love the fact that they can get into a bunch of different personnels. Last play's 12, this play's 11, so 1 back, 2 tight ends, 1 back, 1 tight end. They get a little bit more ball fake in their offense. James Cook, everyone's focused on, are they going to hand the football off to him? And it's not like they live in play action in Buffalo, but the fact that they can allows Josh. Watch his pocket here. If you give this guy this pocket, I don't care who the defense is. He's going to find the right person. A check down gets 15 or 16 yards. And I think for Miami, it's going to be, what do they want to do? Do they want to handle the multiple tight ends? Do they want to focus on James Cook? Do they want to allow Josh to be in that under-center world where he can get these explosive plays? We've seen 4 explosive plays. Every one of them but one had some element of a play action pass or movement attached to it. So I think that's the focus for Miami's defense. Josh is great. I think the star tonight is James Cook.
And, Josh is great. Josh is also healthy. He's been medically cleared by team doctors to play. He hurt his left hand. That's not his throwing hand, so that's good. But even playing hurt, they still came back from a 17-3 deficit. He still threw for 2 touchdowns, and he still ran in 2 scores. So if you're the Miami Dolphins, him being healthy, not a good thing for your defense, but this is a game that the Dolphins have to win. I don't want to say have to win, it's September, but it goes a long way for them confidence-wise because at some point you have to get over the Josh Allen hump. We talk about Josh Allen having to get over the Mahomes hump.
Sure.
The Dolphins in this division, they have a good team, but they can't get by Buffalo.
Yeah, and they don't get the benefit that they get in the early afternoon games. There is no better home field advantage, you've told me, lots of people have told me, than that 1 o'clock kickoff in Miami in September, and they don't get that benefit.
The last time they beat them, it was that 1 o'clock game where, if you can remember, Tua and Josh Allen embraced at the end of the game, and they're both absolutely wiped. I look at this, and Kmart, lean to more of the storyline you're saying is this game means so much for the Miami Dolphins at this point, and it is early. It's only week 2 in the season, but we continue to doubt the Miami Dolphins. No matter how many yards Tua puts up, no matter how many times Tyreek Hill is screaming down the sideline, or Jalen Waddle's doing his celebration in the end zone, we say, well, is this a team that can win in January? Or is this a team that can consistently beat a good football team? For them, if you're able to beat the Buffalo Bills in week 2 as early as it is, I think it brings a different type of confidence to this team because as well as they played last year, they were supposed to win that division.
Can I ask you a question real quick before Harry jumps in? So Buffalo playing against this ridiculously, because Miami's offense wasn't good last week, 3 explosive plays changed the game.
Yeah.
Everybody in their defense is new secondary-wise. What do you think is like the main focus for Buffalo's defense with all, I want to say, new pieces in the secondary?
Keep the guys in front of you. If we keep them in front of us, we at least allow ourselves to play. Because to your point, Miami's offense wasn't great a week ago, but if you can get explosive plays, that's the name of the game. Because on defense, we would say to the secondary, hey, if the ball goes over your head, the other 10 guys can't play. And you've known that. You've ran by people your entire career while you were playing.
And I would also say force Miami to methodically work the football down the field. Eliminate those explosive plays, but I also think, J-Mac, it's imperative that they tackle well in space.
No doubt.
You got to tackle well in space because we know that we have a but a road runner, and then we have Lightning McQueen, Jalen Waddle, and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
So whether you want to beep or meep, whatever it is, or you want to have that Lightning McQueen being the champion and holding up that piston cup that my son always wants me to play with him, then you got to figure some things out. But Buffalo has done a great job, but for Tua, he's going to have to be patient. Yeah. Take what the defense gives you, and if he doesn't have, there you go. See, he knows about the movie.
The interesting thing is that Tyreek Hill is a guy that you always look at in the Dolphins offense, but against the Bills, he doesn't top 100 receiving yards when he plays the Buffalo Bills. He doesn't catch as many percentage of his passes when he plays the Buffalo Bills. So with a new Bills roster, How does Tyreek Hill fit against them?
It's going to be interesting to see. As the picks are split here, the Dolphins are a 2.5-point favorite in this game. The Dolphins at home are a 2.5-point favorite in this game. Money line could be an interesting one if you are so inclined. Meanwhile, let's talk about the Bengals. Let's talk about their quarterback. After what was a stunning loss, maybe the biggest surprise of Week 1, with Cincinnati losing to New England. And now it gets much tougher. The Bengals going up against Mahomes and the Chiefs. All game long, you saw Burrow flexing the hand, flexing the wrist, all that from the surgery. He said yesterday that it's fine. Our Chris Canty, not buying it.
I am concerned about the version of Joe Burrow that we're going to see from now until the end of his career, because this wrist injury is something that we don't have a lot of history with quarterbacks being able to bounce back from in the NFL. We just haven't seen it. So I am not going to believe it until I see it. And that's why, sitting here today, I'm selling all the Bengals stock and I'm selling all my Joe Burrow stock.
Like, if he had just stopped at, I got to believe it to see it, all right, I give you that. But then Chris just has to be so extra and go to, cash me out. I'm getting rid of all the Bengals. No, I don't want any part of it. Well, this is the same guy who told us last year that the Chiefs were washed.